Good morning. Can you guess what time it is? In case you didn't know, it's sap boiling time. I'm going to take you guys along and show you how I boil sap here. It's quite a small scale. I've got a rocket stove right here. I put up this pipe last week or the week before last, something along those lines. I put this pipe up so I don't burn the shed down. Or smoke myself out. I don't have another length. I should get another elbow and go up a couple, but I don't have any of that at this point in time, so we'll see. Hopefully the smoke doesn't blow back in here, but can't be any worse than last year. But, you know, as I said, I do it on a small scale, and it's kind of as much homemade as I possibly can do things. Um, you know, doing maple syrup on a small scale is really not like it's not overly cost effective. So, um, the easiest and cheapest way I can get it done is the best way for me to do it. But if you want to see how I do it and pretty much all of the stuff that I think I did buy some cement blocks, but all the bricks were here, most of the cement blocks were here, all of the metal that I have under this shed was here. I had to buy the wood, but pretty much everything that I've had to make this with is scrapped. I got a pan um, from a restaurant that was going out of business pretty much for free. The other pan I got at the dollar store, or not the dollar store, at the a thrift store for $4. I did buy another roasting pan, which I was thinking it would fit on here, but it does not fit on here. I'll show you my process and what I got going on here. Like I said, you know, it's a small scale. It's going to take a while, maybe all day. I've got around, I think, about 18-ish or so gallons of sap. It's been a pretty strange year so far. Uh, 2 weeks ago, I think I actually tapped the trees, and this is the first time boiling. We really haven't had the right kind of weather. We had a very warm, um, a lot of a warm up, which was well above the freezing mark. It was up to, we had a couple days that were up to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put the Celsius up there. And those days it didn't get down below freezing. And now we're at a point where we've had, I think, 2 or 3 days of weather that was around freezing and not really much above. And then we're supposed to, so I really didn't get a lot of sap out of my trees. I'm hoping that the season, like, does something a little bit better, because this week coming up, we're supposed to have one day that is going to be, I think Monday is going to be in the 40-degree Fahrenheit range, and then it's going to be getting cold at night. Not a lot of temperatures above zero, and then the rest of the week is going to be pretty much at a point where I don't think we're going to get a lot of sap run. It's going to be barely above freezing. And then I think Friday we're supposed to have another day where it's going to be in the 40s or 50s degrees Fahrenheit above 40s and 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we're going to have another cold run after that. I don't like to go more than a week without boiling if the sap is out at room temperature, or it goes bad if you let it sit for too long. So some of these I was a little worried about them sitting too long, but I did notice the other day that they did have ice in them, so hopefully they'll be okay. I want to show you guys. I've put a short about this rocket stove. So this is my rocket stove. I've got the cement blocks and then the bricks. I do have a grate, a metal grate that goes all the way back to where the chimney starts. And Oh, underneath is a little hard to see because it's very dark back there. But I will be starting the fire back in there. I made a brick chimney to go up, and then I just stuck this pipe down in there as a temporary fix. I've got it hooked up to the rafters of this shed, and what I've got back in here is a bunch of wood that I collected when the wood got delivered. I sorted out a lot of the small pieces and I put metal roofing over the floor. I've got a sieve colander, whatever you want to call it, and there isn't a lot of debris in the sap, but I did notice there was pieces of pine needles and whatnot. These 5-gallon buckets do have quite a bit of ice in them. Allegedly, the ice doesn't have sugar content. I'm not sure how true that is. But that's something that I can test because I do have a refracto. I've filled one of my pans probably about as full as I want it to be. And then the other one has a little bit in it. I'll put some more. That's going to be more of a warming pan. And the back one will get hotter once I have the fire going. So now I've cut a hole in this cover. My strainer fits right in there. Now all I have to do is just pour a 5-gallon bucket through and I will have some filtered sap. We're going good here. Looking good. Fire's going good. All right, another progress update. I'm going to have to push the wood back and throw some more in. The front pan is steaming pretty good. I had the back pan covered with that other black pan I have. I don't know if you can see it. It is boiling and it's evaporating off pretty good. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a long while for this. All day long, every half hour to hour, I come out and check it and push the wood back and add some more to the front. So it's not an entire day of standing out here looking at the thing. All right, I figured I would bring you guys out before it gets dark for another update on the sap. I've got these guys covered. Oh, the wind picked up and blew the end of that pipe off. It's been very windy. We have some wind warning. This is all that I'm going to boil today. All right, I've got that pan turned around, emptied that pan into it. I'm just going to cover this with my two covers and probably spread the coals out underneath it a little bit. Maybe put some more logs under there. It's not going to burn too much longer before I'm going to call it done. The situation, so that bucket there now has ice in it. I did test it using my refractometer, and it does have 2 on the Brick scale, which is a sugar. So I am going to end up boiling it probably next weekend or the next time that I boil sap. I'm not going to waste it. This is the results of boiling down the sap all day yesterday. It was, I think, around approximately 15 gallons of sap. This is not finished. This still needs to be finished. But what I am going to do is strain it again. So I'm going to show you what the process looks like of straining out. It's not the final product, but it's close to the final product. And what I do, I'm going to take this same strainer that I had yesterday, and I'm going to strain it through that first. I know that there's bits of ash and who knows what else that fell into here during the boiling process. I am first going to pour it through the mesh strainer, and then I have this little, it's a coffee filter, one of the kind of coffee filters that you can get, that if you don't want to buy the fabric or paper coffee filters, you can buy one of these. I could use a paper coffee filter, but I'm going to use this thing because I'm not overly worried about the sediment. Once the sediment sets to the bottom of the jar, it's going to be fine. I'm just going to be putting it into these jars, and eventually at some point in time, pretty soon, I'll be boiling it up to finish. I might do it today, I might not. It depends on what other stuff I have going on. Anyways, I'm going to pour some of this through here and hopefully not spill too much of it. It is quite a long process for such a little bit of product. There's a little bit of stuff in this filter, not a lot. I didn't really expect there to be too much. And it might take a little while for it to go through this filter. One of the things that I do when I finish off my sap, I bring it in and usually finish it off on the stove in the house. And what I'll do is boil it until it gets to about 219 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll put the Celsius on the screen. I have a candy thermometer, and I'll set the candy thermometer in there and let it go until it gets to the temperature I want. Then once it gets to around 219, 220 degrees, I end up just putting it into mason jars and canning it. That is pretty much the end process of how I do it. Like I said before, it's not an overly cost effective process, but it's kind of like a satisfying result that I don't have to buy maple syrup. Although if you add in all the time and everything that it takes, it probably would be just as cheap or cheaper to buy already processed maple syrup in the store. But my idea is that I can do it. It gives me a little bit of resiliency. If you know, if I have this product, I don't need to go buy it in the store. Not saying that there's going to ever be a shortage of maple syrup or sugar of some sort, but who knows, who knows what the world's coming to. I just feel like it's nice to be able to make this myself and know that I can do it. And if I'm going to be here anyway, I haven't put a lot of actual money into the project. It's more like the time that I've put into it. If you guys have enjoyed this content, please be sure to like and subscribe and check out my other videos that I have with the whole sap process. I have a video that I'll put in the end videos here. Will be one is where I tapped the maple trees. That was a couple weeks ago. And the other video is where I planned on what I'm doing and discussed what I'm doing this year and what I'm doing differently. That'll cover the whole process of how things are going and how I've gone through with everything that I've been doing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.